Have you ever gave up hope, looking for a way to cope, all alone in a castle by yourself, knowing you were made to rule, looking like a royal fool, if you only had someone to help. We got to clean these rodents out. There ain't no way we're gonna let them run this place. I'll show them what this king's about. It won't be long before we get them on the run. Here's what I propose we do. I'm gonna count on you, give you all the cheese that you could ever want. If you wanna be your best, put your trap up to the test, buy some super brie and watch the suckers come. Oh yeah, we got to clean these rodents out. There ain't no way we're gonna let them run this place. I'll show them what this king's about. It won't be long before we get them on the run. We got to clean these rodents out. There ain't no way we're gonna let them run this place. Yeah, I'll show them what this king's about. It won't be long before we get them on the run. Have you ever gave up hope, looking for a way to cope, all alone in a castle by yourself? We got to clean these rodents out. There ain't no way we're gonna let them run this place. I'll show them what this king's about. It won't be long before we you ever gave up hope.
Hello, MouseHunt. Welcome to Feedback Friday. It is, what day is it today? It's July 5, 2019. How's everybody in the chat doing today? Hello, hello. See a few people join us here. Hello. Oops, my chat is kind of a weird size. Adjust that so I can actually see it. Cool. Hello, hello. Chong asks, so no more Chrome bits. Yes, very shortly there will be no more Chrome bits dropping. And then Ronza will be taking off next week. So this is kind of almost, in a way you can think of it, the shutdown phase of Chrome bits. So Chrome bits will soon stop dropping, so you can see what your grand total was if you're holding off on spending any of them. But over the weekend, please do ensure to spend your Chrome bits, as they will be removed shortly after Ronza leaves, as well as the vouchers. Good morning, Lawrence, as well. Norm, Salim, Peter, Ming, Bintang, Ignathon, hello. 678 Freelancer, say cheese. I guess I just said cheese. Hello. Well, today I wanted to give a quick little update on various things that we've been working on. We'll start off with Big Jack's Spice Shack is coming soon as a Queso Canyon mini event. So it'll be actually coming toward the end of the month. We just kind of wrapped up development on it. We're doing some play testing, fine-tuning things a little bit here and there. But we're just kind of wrapping up that testing on it. So there'll be a mini event featuring Jacqueline the Spice Merchant, or Big Jack as she's also known. And she's going to visit Queso Canyon while she's visiting mice in the region. Throughout the whole region, we'll have a chance of dropping kegs of bland queso. That's a bonus drop to speed up your bland queso collection while she's in town. The kegs come in small, medium, and large, and you can see them depicted here. And obviously the large has a lot more bland queso than the small. Using your wild tonic will double the drops of bland queso, the queso kegs as well. And specifically, if you're hunting in Queso Geyser, the kegs are fortunate enough to be heat resistant and buoyant, so they'll float through the molten queso there and be dropped directly from mice rather than appearing in the loot nest toward the end. And whoo, something is making my computer fan go crazy. Shut down a couple apps maybe that are running. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to help. Chong asks, right after Ronza leaves? No, it'll be a little bit after Ronza's departure. So Ronza leaves, let me look at a calendar because I'm notorious for giving wrong dates. Ronza takes off on Tuesday, July 9. And Big Jack will be closer to the end of the month, most likely on the 23rd, but maybe the 30th, kind of depending on how things go. How many bland in a large keg? A good amount. It'll kind of really speed up your collection, but still we're kind of fine-tuning that as we play test, but should somewhere be in the neighborhood of perhaps doubling the rate at which you can collect bland queso while she's in town. In addition to the kegs as well, she's going to set up her Spice Shack as part of the general stores throughout the region. So you can expect a few new spice-related trades to be available. Specifically, you're going to be able to trade one type of spice for the next type of spice. Maybe a few other little details as well that we're still sorting out, so I won't go into too many specifics, but you'll be able to trade up your spice leaves, and there might be a few other kind of spicy things for sale as well. KDM says the fan is spinning early. It did seem a little sooner. I wonder if it's because I had a few things open in another tab. Might have contributed, but by all means, encoding video I think is a little taxing on a laptop CPU. Ideally, I wouldn't be using a laptop, so the fan would not be next to the microphone. It would be a much better setup, probably. Wavy Beach says Ronza has competition. Another traveling merchant, eh? Bintang asked, is the keg only in the river? No, it's throughout the region. So you can be in the Queso River, you can be in the Prickly Plains, you can be in Cantara Quarry, and you can even be in the Queso Geyser. And you'll be technically collecting bland queso no matter where you're hunting. You won't have to be in the river next to your pump. What about rainbow maps? We didn't have a King's giveaway. None planned in the immediate future. And typically rainbow maps do come with a giveaway, so nothing planned in the short term. Bintang says, so Queso River, so no Queso River blank egg. No, everywhere in the region. So Queso River is part of Queso Canyon, so you'll be able to collect kegs in the river. Monica says, better drop for the rib, please. Well, good luck. No plans to tweak that. Zausa says, what time does Ronza leave? Most likely at the same time Feedback Friday typically starts. That's 11 a.m. here in Toronto. I wonder what time in UTC that is. I don't know off the top of my head. Current time, UTC. Google to the rescue. That is 3 p.m. UTC, so if you Google UTC time, you can convert to your time zone as well. But typically it's about the same time that Feedback Friday starts, unless we're having kind of a challenge, or sometimes we have to do a little bit of maintenance of some sort before we launch a release, and it might be at a slightly different time. What about trading up roots and stones? I don't believe it will involve any roots and stones, so it'll just be a little boost. It's not going to be anything too game-changing, and it'll be more time efficient. But like other things, when you trade up your wealth charms, you're kind of diminishing your resources so you can consume them a little bit faster. So it becomes more time efficient, but slightly less resource efficient. Daniel says, will the keg explode? I think it would be okay because blank queso isn't carbonated or under pressure. So I think it'll be okay, and it looks pretty structurally sound with those reinforced rings. Uncle Gan says, I really like the global events. Felt like a step up from stockpiles, give more elbow room. Glad to hear that. We have similar feedback as well from other hunters, so it seems to be going well. It's something we'll probably continue to pursue as a format to use for events when it's appropriate. Michelle says 3 p.m. UTC. Brian, oof, I'm late. Well, welcome, Brian. Chronic says, will you guys come to Singapore? I don't think we have any plans in the immediate future. We did visit Singapore, was that 3 years ago? I forget now. Time flies. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to visit Singapore during a mouse hunt meet as well, and meet many friendly mouse hunters. Very best. Why no tweak on the rib? Well, it is kind of intended for the type of player who enjoys that particular reward structure. Now, I definitely could understand it's a polarizing one at that, but it just kind of, maybe that reward structure isn't your cup of tea, but it's what's something that a different player might enjoy, similar to maybe there's an area where you enjoy the reward structure and that type of player might not like that as much. So it's just our effort to kind of put a little something for everybody in the game through different areas. Scrib says, is there a chance for any other special items from this event? I don't believe so. I think we will add some Super Brief for vouchers. I think that was the plan. That was up to Giorgio and Franco, but I believe their plan is to add some sort of Super Brief cash out if you have remaining vouchers, but actually I don't quite know what their plan was, so I might jot that down to follow up with them. But just for players who maybe don't have the gold to afford a Chrome kit, but you have the vouchers, it would be nice to have something in the shop that did not cost gold and you could cash out your voucher for, I think. KDM mandatory coffee comment. Yeah, I'll never live that down. Maybe I shouldn't have spoke a word of it on stream, how I ruined my last laptop by dumping coffee all over it. Not intentionally, I did spill it. Fortunately, that laptop, I think it did have a good 6-7 years and it was a little outdated, so maybe that was just fate's way of pushing me towards updating my equipment. Daniel says 3 years ago. Well, there you go. My memory, or perhaps better description of that is a random guess of when it was accurate. I guess that was 3 years ago. Mark says, is this a one-off event or is it going to be a semi-regular thing? With Big Jack Spice Shack, we'll see what feedback is like on it, but if it proves popular, we designed it in a way that it's very easy to turn on and off. So we can just go into our, kind of the back-end controls of the game, hit a checkbox, change a date, hit save, and then it just kind of launches the Big Jack event. So by all means, if it proves popular, let us know. We'll probably be asking that question once it's live on Feedback Friday as well. And we'll be very interested to see what players think. But if it's enjoyed by all, it could be something that we run from time to time. Bloodshot says, will there be any other use for bland queso? Currently have 1.7 million of them. Well, wildfire is the ultimate use of bland queso, and you'll be shocked at how quickly wildfire will drain your supply of bland queso. So by all means, if you ever feel like you have too much, it's time to do a big epic run of wildfire, either in the river or in the geyser. Q says, Aurora base is insanely bad, currently low proc rate, too high chance. Any tweak intended? No, typically with limited edition items, it's not something we would change because it would kind of influence the decision of whether you chose to buy it or not. That said, it is one of the items at Ronza's shop which you can sell back for the full refund. So if you're not happy with your Aurora base, you can return it to Ronza, get all your gold back as well. But there would be no plans, especially once she leaves. I don't think we would ever change anything, because that would feel a little unfair to anyone making the decision to buy it or not. Chong says, will the total luck of a trap setup influence the percent chance of a rib being dropped? No, because it's kind of a special drop going into the nest. That only affects drops that happen directly from mice. So other than Big Jacks as well, give a quick Valor Rift update. So if you've been watching previous Feedback Fridays, been discussing Valor Rift now and then. Just realized I didn't put together a little slide or anything for the Valor Rift, but we've been making good progress on it. Nearly all the mice are wrapped up. We put together a basic heads-up display as well to start playtesting it. Kevin actually wrapped up the heads-up display for mobile, so I've been using that to play through the area a whole lot. I think that was pretty well my day yesterday. Now, true to the spirit of the gauntlet, it's certainly some endurance required to make your way up to the top and confront the Eclipse's final form. As you repeat the gauntlet, it just becomes harder and harder, or actually you can choose to take it on at higher and higher difficulty levels to increase your rewards, or you can choose to dial down the difficulty once it gets a little too tough. The current iteration of it as well, we kind of we're playing around with it a little bit, where now we've introduced 2 versions of the Rift Eclipse, with the final one being a little bit of a journey to make your way and catch. So it kind of felt a little anticlimactic the first time you defeat the Eclipse, the adventure to complete, and it felt very appropriate that that would be the last step of the adventure. So we're kind of introducing 2 versions of the Rift Eclipse, and one's hiding at a much higher difficulty level than the basic one. That said, this is the gameplay. It's proving to require a lot of kind of play testing, fine tuning. A lot of it has to be done kind of by feel, whereas opposed to a more traditional loot-based area, it's very easy to kind of model things out, see how long something's going to take, and then kind of play through it, see how it feels, and tweak it a bit. But this one's, it's proving to be a little bit more tedious to fine-tune it, but still confident. We've been making some good progress. Brian says, Lunar and Solar Eclipse, the original version, or one of the original versions of the Valor Rift, did have that theme where there'd be kind of 2 towers side by side, and one controls the sun, one controls the moon, and you're getting them to line up. But that didn't quite pan out, but I did like the theme of it. Borganator asks, is there any way to transfer map ownership without it randomly being assigned to the map? I don't believe so. You'd have to get everyone else to leave first, so Michelle actually answered your question there as well. That's a good suggestion, though. We are going to be looking for suggestions for Relic Hunter Season 7. Typically, it's also a time that we add some quality of life improvements to maps in general. So that might be a great suggestion to keep in mind for that. Actually, I think Franco's already starting to put together some of the design plans there. Right now, if all goes according to plan, we want to do the next Relic Hunter season in November. We thought that'd be kind of a good time to launch it in terms of we're kind of done developing new areas. We're working through event season a little bit, and something coming out in November, it just kind of feels good. Something where, you know, you could spend a month doing it, but a new area, if you're going to spend more than a month doing it, and then the Great Winter Hunt comes, and it might break up that that flow a little bit. Daryl says, it stinks that you are killing the collectors in the game for so many years. Why not be able to keep a chrome bit for collection? Just because it's very likely it's going to come back, and it's just much easier for us to design things where we know nobody has any to start with, as well as it. You know, obviously everything in the game isn't meant to collect, and it's kind of hard to always design around that. But it also, there's a positive side of it where you know you're free to spend all your chrome bits because there isn't a compulsion to stockpile them in case she brings something different next time. And so it's a big problem we had with event currencies. We noticed the vast majority of players never spent their currencies, so things like ice coins and that we used to use for, or like the Halloween candies, the things that we used to use for events. every time the event shut down and we queried, we noticed pretty well nobody spent any of them ever. And I think it was the psychology of, well, I don't want to miss out in case there's something better next time. And so we kind of wanted to avoid that similar negative aspect to having currencies that don't go away or expire. Sneak peek of Rift Eclipse, please, says KDM. I think we had the Eclipse on as a backdrop of last Feedback Friday, if I recall correctly. Tiffany says, on what we've heard in public situation, it seems that devs intend for using the widget to not refresh your camp. No, that should work appropriately. So actually, we just double checked that the other day. When you sound the horn through the widget, it attempts to take you on a hunt. Even if you're not successful, it will still refresh your online status, so your friends can continue to take you on hunts. I couldn't find a way to make that not work. It seemed to be working properly. Bloodshot says, is there any sort of reward for reaching the end or completing the Rift Valor, like a new trap? We're still kind of brainstorming the rewards. One thing I mentioned on previous Feedback Fridays, I think Jacob had the idea of a base that its stats improve the higher level prestige or the higher level difficulty that you conquer in the gauntlet. So it's kind of a base you can upgrade by continuing to just march your way up the gauntlet over and over at harder difficulty levels. Had some, I think, positive feedback in the chat from it as well, so we might kind of explore that, play test it, see if it's going to work out. Alan says, will the Hunter's Horn Rewind Charm ever reappear? I could be mistaken here if my MouseHunt trivia is a little off, but I'm pretty sure they were they available in the last birthday event? Maybe not, actually. Or did you get a few for completing the adventure? I can't recall. Xavier says, what can we do with Chrome tickets that we do not intend to use? I believe there is a plan in motion there, but I was not involved in the plan, so I got to follow up. But I think there will be some sort of cash out option added, probably Super Brie, but don't quote me on that. I got to follow up with Giorgio and Franco and see what they've planned there. Well, I'm falling behind the chat here. Brian says, will we see Ultimate Regal Charms for a better version of the Rainbow Chest soon? Yeah, it's a good suggestion, I think. Maybe next time we do a giveaway, another Upgrade the Charm kind of effect going. Scrib says, can we expect the Valor Rift in the next 3 months? We are trying our hardest to get it out before event season, and well enough ahead of event season to give you some time to sink your teeth into it a little bit before the Halloween event starts. That said, it's still a ways to go, and like I was saying, it requires a little bit more tedious kind of playing through it manually, seeing how it feels, making some tweaks, go through it again. It's a little harder to kind of plot things out on a spreadsheet for this one, so hopefully things continue to progress well. We'll keep you in the loop, but we are trying our hardest to get out before event season. Chat's jumping around here. For Chromebits and vouchers, says Brian, why not just add 2019? We could, and you can continue to let us know what you think of that. There is some, it's mildly negligible, because it's kind of death by 1,000 paper cuts sort of thing, but every time we add an item to the game, technically the game gets slightly less performant. And so we're kind of always hesitant to continue to creep up with adding these sort of dead items that will never return, and they're just kind of chilling out, because they're just kind of taking up, slightly affecting the performance of the game without providing any sort of value per se. Dana says, I was one that hoarded a lot of things. Thank you, Dave. Well, definitely, you weren't alone. We noticed the vast majority of hunters would just never spend those event currencies and stuff. Boganator says, our future Chrome maps from Ron's visit is going to cost Chromebits as well. Can the cost be needed to reduced? And I think we had similar feedback as well, so we'll take that into mind. If we repeat the Chromebit way of Ron's going, I think we'd want to lower the cost of the Chrome scroll cases a little bit. And that's a good point as well, why it's important that we kind of started one at 0. As soon as I say that, that means, okay, well, I'm not spending my Chrome bits because I'm going to save them for next time because the prices will be different. And so it just makes it a lot easier. We're free to adjust things based on feedback. Whereas if we don't reset the Chrome bit count, the next time if we want to repeat it, then we always have to keep that in mind, or everything's a little bit more rigid. We're not as free to make adjustments based on player feedback. The relic scroll limit to prevent depletion of ancient relics for hunters who don't want relic hunters but are in relic hunters is in. I'm not quite sure I follow you there, Brian. And Brian number 2, we got Brian Lee and Brian Wilson. It would be cool if there was a base that got stronger from catching more and more of a certain boss mouse. That's kind of the idea of the Valor Rift base. So again, we're going to kind of play test that, see if it pans out. But every time you defeat the Eclipse, you unlock the ability to try it at a higher difficulty level. So every time you try that next difficulty level, we could increase the stats of that base. Not sure if we'd have to theoretically cap it. We'll kind of see see what the long term of the Valor Rift is. Certainly, it reaches a point where it's just, without extraordinary measures, it gets quite impossible to keep going. But that's after quite a while of playing it, at least at the moment. The number of ancient relics we get from rare gold and jade map be more than a mere 20. Well, it was kind of balanced in mind of how long it takes to complete it, so we kind of came up with an amount that we thought was appropriate without being too generous or completely making collecting relics in another fashion entirely irrelevant. Det asks, will the Spice Shack exchange leaves or queso cheese? It's going to be leaves. So it's a bit of a heads up too. You might want to hold on to a few leaves because you'll be able to spend them at her shop, but she's not coming for a while. So as well, we'll kind of, as things firm up and we're a little bit more confident in what the exact costs are going to be, probably want to kind of get that news out a little bit ahead of time as well. That said, of course, it's more time efficient but less resource efficient. So I think a great comparison is wealth charms. If you upgrade your wealth charms into super or extreme wealth charms, you technically lose some gold potential if you just sat and if you have 20,000 wealth charms, if you actually did 20,000 hunts with all the charms, you'd end up with more bonus gold than doing fewer hunts with the upgraded. But for a lot of people, doing that many hunts with wealth charms is unreasonable, so you compress it down a little bit, and you get less gold, but in a quicker amount of time, which ends up probably being a better approach anyway. So that exchange up is kind of, you're sitting on, say, like 1,000 bland leaves, and you're thinking, oh, I don't want to actually hunt to use up all these 1,000 bland leaves. You can kind of trade them up, and it'll be more time efficient, but you will sacrifice a few leaves in the process. Very best says, thanks for replying the rib. Understand your point of view. You have been on the low end of the luck spectrum. That said, it is a rare drop, so it's not unheard of to go over 1,000 or 2,000 without a drop. But you're definitely, what we say, you're due. You're due. Oh, Brian was replying to someone else. That's probably why I didn't understand lack context there. Bintag says, after Big Jack, it's Halloween. Any sneak peek? After Big Jack, we are certainly hoping that the Valor Rift would not be too far behind. But like I said, a lot of ways to go in that area, so we're trying our hardest. But it's kind of too soon to say when exactly it'll come out. But if it wasn't that, it would probably be Halloween. We'll kind of probably get into that a little bit closer, but we're probably looking to repeat the Ghost Ship event, maybe with a few tweaks based on feedback. Brian says, not impossible, I guess, if one has ultimate charms. That would be the extraordinary measure, I guess, if you saved up a few hundred ultimate charms or something ridiculous. But I don't know if that would be quite worthwhile doing, but it would be quite the bragging rights, I guess, on the scoreboard if you get to push your prestige that one higher. But I think the main thing is most people will probably reach a point where, okay, now it's as hard as it possibly, as hard as it is, and I can still do it. Can't go any higher. Until new Rift equipment comes out. So when new trap upgrades come out, that might give people the extra edge they need to just push it one higher. Yami says, would it be possible to have a way to view your friend's Hunter Journal on mobile? It's useful when you're working together. Hopefully one day. I agree that would be much needed. It just hasn't quite reached the top of the priority list to overhaul profiles on mobile. We are doing some profile work on browser, though, so that might kind of open up some time to look at mobile as well. Suzanne says, I think Ronza came too soon in the season. It affects the golden SB we had too soon after event season, a new geyser area. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair enough to think through the timing of that. That's typically last few years she's come in the summer. Script says, do you think the Tarnished Crumbit was a good idea? It could be a good compromise for collectors. Like I said, it's not a huge concern, but the more items we add to the game, it kind of slows everything down ever so slightly. It is quite negligible. Like I said, it's the death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of expression. But I think there's already other things in the game that you just can't keep in your inventory, so I think we just have to kind of accept that there are some items in the game that aren't meant to be collected, and we just have to kind of live with that, I think, is the stance we would take. Time to trade up my 1K hot leaves to flaming leaves, says KDM. That's a good example. If you just have too many leaves and you really don't want to spend the time to upgrade them all manually, you can do it very quickly, but you technically, if you use those 1,000 leaves, turn them into cheese and hunted with them, you'd end up with more flaming leaves afterwards. Brian says it's hard to use ultimate wealth trims and get full gold value unless I'm hunting, say, tier 8 cheese. Indeed, the ultimates are quite hard to hit the max, I guess. Valor Rift before Halloween, no guarantees. That's our goal. We're trying our hardest here. Any plan to add animation to the trap while catching mouse? No, unfortunately, there's just so many trap and base combinations that would be quite unreasonable to pull off, at least with the current technology the game's built on. That's it. We would probably, as close as we get, is maybe on mobile when you sound the horn, is the sort of little cutscene, kind of more of a comic style animation plays. We'd be open to adding that to browser if we ever got to the point of overhauling the interface a little bit. Obviously, just like on mobile, it would come with a toggle to turn it off as well. But that would be kind of pie-in-the-sky goals. Is there going to be tiered cheese for Valor Rift similar to the Gauntlet? No, so it's going to be a little less kind of about resource collection. It's going to be a little bit more straightforward in that regard, but they'll just be one type of cheese. It'll be a Gauntlet string cheese. Any chance of a stronger Rift trap? There's a chance. Like I said, you can continue to let us know your suggestions, what rewards you'd like to see. I know I asked that on previous Feedback Fridays as well, but we'll be brainstorming the rewards a little bit, fleshing them out. A lot of it is kind of, again, because the area requires a lot of kind of play testing and tuning as we go. So I think that's going to influence some of the decisions as well. Is it possible to do something with vintage items in the inventory? No, I think we label them as such, just as a nod to know, hey, these are items that are kind of don't have a serious purpose, so you can kind of ignore them or just look at them for nostalgia. The Chrome bit drop rate was awful. I hope we never do that again. It was okay. I thought it was, off the top of my head, actually, I don't know. It was over 20%, I'm pretty sure. It's very similar to the Dragon Shards. Chrome bit, bronza. Yeah, 35%. And it gets adjusted for catch rate as well. So if the trap you're using is very unlikely to capture a mouse, it increases the catch rate. That said, 35 is kind of that magic number. If you're hunting a mouse and your chance of catching it is lower than 35%, obviously we can only boost the drop rate up to 100%, so that will result in fewer chrome bits per hunt. But overall, in the kind of long haul, 2 weeks should be a long enough time as well for things to kind of equal out. Over every 1 in 3 hunts, you should find a chrome bit. That's it. As we continue to kind of explore these events that have global drops, we may also look at the option of having extremely difficult mice. We might add a chance of them dropping too, because that'd be kind of the only way we could normalize things to make the drop rate super consistent across the board. Espinoza says, what do you mean the Valor Rift will be too difficult to complete, as in we essentially hit a 0% catch rate? Technically, yeah, at some point you could hit a 0% catch rate. That said, there is an item that you can continuously upgrade forever. Just every time you finish the gauntlet, you get some resources and you can upgrade. We're still kind of brainstorming the name for it, so it's hard to kind of say. And that weakens all the mice in the tower. You don't have to activate it. There's no consumable involved with that. Just as you upgrade it, it just weakens all the mice in the tower. So that's, if you put in time, is enough to help you push one higher. That said, as you get up there, it takes longer and longer to upgrade that item, so it does kind of reach a plateau of like, okay, this is about as far as I want to go. Things are getting a little crazy. But we're obviously going to try to find that sweet spot where that's a good amount of time before it gets too tough and getting to kind of bragging right stretch goals above and beyond runs in there. Bintang says, thanks for the kegs event. I'm returning right after the Dragon Shard event. Have only a little amount of land, so it makes the grind easier. It's certainly a big boost if you don't have a level 10 pump as well, because the kegs will drop. You'll be able to open them up and you just get a lot of bland queso, and it'll kind of let you collect bland queso a lot quicker than you could with your pump. If you don't have a level 10 pump, that is. Well, on that note, we will go over to the trivia for the week. And as always, Larry will have rewards. Today's trivia question is rooted a little bit in lore, I guess. In a description of a mouse is where you're going to find the answer for this. It is not numeric, so 48 will be wrong. The quar is being called out in chat. Yes, it is the question answer reward, as Giorgio has branded it, the quar. And the question for this week is, which mouse in Queso Canyon is known for yelling, "Spice in your face"? Thank Giorgio for this catchphrase. I think he injected that into the description of the mouse. 42 is always the answer. Bloodshot asks, will kegs remain in our inventory after the event? Yes, they should. Because it's kind of designed to something to repeat, and because you don't spend it like a currency, there's really no harm or anxieties in leaving it in inventories. Granny Spice is correct. That was very quick, KDM. I'm impressed. Granny Spice mouse is correct. In the description, it does state that she yells "spice in your face." Maybe bonus marks to somebody who can point out which mouse has a similar but not quite the same catchphrase. I'll post the reward link in the chat. Grandpa Golem, KDM, 2 for 2. Clearly reading those mouse descriptions. The Grandpa Golem, if I recall correctly, yells "rock in your face." Granny Spice is correct. And the reward link coming in the chat. Larry has your back with some rewards. If you're watching this recorded on YouTube, you should be able to see the reward link in the chat. I think it should be on this side, but just in case, it might be on this side. I don't know. I can put it in here as well. Sorry, Big Jack. Commandeering your text box. It's a little small. Make that bigger. Potentially. Where's font size? There it is. Too big? Ooh, just right maybe. Let's go 72. A little hard to read, but there it is. Reading all the flavor text paid off, says KDM. Literally flavor text, because it's spices. It's beautiful puns. Eric says, I'd like to see a trap base you can keep investing in. It keeps getting better. Glad to hear it. That's kind of good feedback about that base idea for Valor Rift. Like I said, a lot of play testing. I'll have to see how that goes. Yami says, how long is Big Jack event going to last for? Likely 2 weeks, but we'll see. It kind of comes down to some play testing as well, but 2 weeks seems to be a good kind of time frame for most events that we do. It's worked out fairly well. But a lot of it, as we kind of wrap up playtesting, as we fine-tune kind of what the rewards are, the drop rates are, that might affect the decision of how long it runs for. But I'd say 1 to 2 weeks. It would be unlikely to go longer than 2 weeks, I would think. But more info forthcoming as the event gets closer to launching. Thanks for the rib. Yeah, that reward link. It's 200 ribs. Ribs are now worth 1 GP. Ryan says, anything for the Crystal Crucibles? Nothing planned quite yet. We were brainstorming. There was another area, actually, it was going to be another Archduke area thematically it was sending out these airships to go and on missions, and you'd fuel them up using some items in previous areas that don't have particular compelling use anymore. But that said, it kind of got scrapped, but the idea was kind of neat, so we might explore that again in a different area. We'll see. As gold needed to trade up the spices, kind of broke after Ronza. No gold required. I believe the spice exchange will be 1 magic essence every time you trade up a spice, though. Would you ever let us combine our Ultimate Luck and Power Charms into Ultimate Lucky Power Charms? Nothing planned. I might want a little bit more control over exactly what the sources of those are. If anything, combining them and maybe you would lose one of each, that might be something we would consider, but no specific plans. Edith says, fun to see Big Jack as a 2-week event. Would be fun to see a different 2-week event around this time each year. Yeah, definitely summer. We kind of struggle to get out some content, and I think a lot of it is kind of event season. We have been trying a different approach. We've been breaking up into kind of smaller teams in an effort to try to help us produce more releases a little bit quicker. Since we're kind of maxed out on how big of a size team that we can keep employed on the game. We'll kind of try some different approaches to speed things up a little bit. A build-up timer is really common in other games similar to MH. I'm not sure what you mean by build-up timer. Fun to see. Oh, I already read that. Big Jack's necklace seems to be made of Galar toothlets. I think it's made of amber queso. I'd have to double check with Jacob. Jacob illustrated Jacqueline there. But I think it drew inspiration from maybe the amber queso. That was my guess anyway. Keg drop rate as rare as Chrome Bits. Again, kind of subject to play testing here. Chrome Bits were 35%, although the luck of your trap could boost it up a little further, upwards of 40%. I wouldn't call that rare by any stretch. Oh, that's the wrong branch. Big Jack event. At the moment, it's 1 in 5 to find a keg, but we might be tweaking that a little bit, and then the ratio of small, medium, and large as well. So still a lot of play testing going on. Oh dear, where'd the chat go now? And similarly, the kegs are adjusted for drop or for catch rate as well. So to kind of avoid any sort of incentive to either camp out and catch really easy mice in the river or the plains, you can feel free to hunt anywhere in the region knowing that the drop rate is going to be adjusted based on your catch rate. That said, it's extremely difficult to catch mice. You can only, these still are only boosted up to 100% drop rate. So you still kind of want to find mice that you have a decent chance of catching. First human character in years, indeed. Kind of a long-term goal here. We're kind of trying to slowly add some more characters to the game. It would be nice if the Trapsmith, if you could visit her, and the general store owner, if we could make a cheese shop character as well. The link in the picture doesn't work. It should. Copy-pasted it. Maybe you already clicked it in the chat, if it says you've already claimed it. Let me test mine out here. Yes, you've already claimed this gift, so it should work. You might have already clicked it in the chat. Zombie Invasion Weekend, Curious Chemist Weekend, etc. Any chance of those old weekend events coming back this summer, asks Mark. No specific plans, but indeed, those are all kind of set up similar to Big Jack, where they are fairly easy to turn on and off. But it's something kind of we keep an eye on. We do discuss every now and then when we should rerun a event, so you can kind of keep letting us know which ones you like the best. Mustachio was missed. He still exists in the lore, but now I don't think there's anywhere to actually see Mustachio. All right, and at the 40-minute mark, as my computer fan turns on again and gets extraordinarily loud, we'll call Feedback Friday there. Oh, sorry, Jacqueline. You have to go away. Fade away. So thanks for joining me, hunters. As a reminder, today, if not already, I don't know if my colleagues have already pushed the button there, but Chrome Bits will stop dropping if they have not already. So now will kind of be the cash out period up until Ronza leaves. You can spend all your Chrome Bits, knowing that that's kind of a grand total that you reached. And after she leaves as well, Chrome Bits and vouchers will disappear, so make sure you spend them before she leaves. There won't be any sort of period after she leaves where you'll be able to cash them out. As soon as she's gone, you won't be able to spend them anymore. So make sure you spend them before she leaves. Have a great weekend. Have a great day if you're watching this recorded, or just have a great day in general. I think Jacob will most likely join you next week for an art edition of Feedback Friday. And so I'll see you in 2 weeks. Happy hunting.
Traveled to this place from where I'd been. Spent nearly every penny on the fee. I bought you all the things I knew I'd need to draw you in and bring you close to me. I laid it all down at your little feet. Spoke a prayer, a wish, and crossed my heart. You were all I'm out here searching for. And when I catch you, I'll want nothing more. So I will wait for you. I will wait for you. I will wait and check my bait. And I won't leave for more than 15. I will wait for you. I will wait for you. I will wait and check my bait. And I won't leave.
So sure enough, Franco's turning off Chrome bits right now. So, oh, and I got my microphone open. So now's the last Chrome bit here. Oh, yep, there it is. So now you can see the banner on the camp page says all Chrome bits recovered, exchange them now. I spent, I think, 200, and I've got 236. I guess I could check the scoreboard to see what my grand total would have been. What do we got? Chrome bits. I reached 436. I was 4,965th. Whew. People got more Chrome bits. Let's go. Oh, I'm not at Ronza's here, though. 236. I don't know. What should I spend them on? I think toothlets. I think I got 200 toothlets already. What did everybody else spend their Chrome bits on? Sally got 583. Did better than I did. I was hunting like crazy, too. All right, let me disarm my bait. Going to Ronza's. Going on a shopping spree. I think it's got to be toothlets, really. Man, those are just nice. You get to Calor, Arm the Denture Base, Dragonbane Charm, you're laughing. It's like hunting the white mouse at that point. Wild Tonic, that's tempting as well. Don't want Tower Mana, don't need Lantern Oil. Quantum Quartz, I think I'm good for that. Nest Dust, don't want to blow all 200 on one. I think it's got to be Toothlets. I don't know, what are other people buying? Toothlets as well, some Wild Tonic too. MLC says Toothlets. Getting all Toothlets. Toothlets are best. I like this. I like this group think happening. I like reinforcing what the decision is. Let's make sure mobile's working correctly as well here. Yeah, there you go. All Chrome bits recovered, exchanged. And I like the little nighttime scene. I think Maxine painted that that interface, if I recall. All right, here we go. 236 Toothlets. Yeah. All right. And while I'm here, anything else I want to buy? I have one voucher. What? No, I don't. Okay. You already used my vouchers. All right, that's all good. Charms. I think I already stocked up here. Stalemate charms. I'm too low on Dragonbane to upgrade any. Plenty of Tarnished. Unstable. I own 0 unstable charms. That's surprising. What was I going to buy, though? 200 Grubbling Bonanza charms? It's probably good enough. Safeguard charms, though. I just can't get enough. I'm buying another 500. 2.5 million gold. Okay. I have 3,000 Safeguard charms. Is that enough? Is that enough for a year? That's enough for a year. That'll be good. Last time I bought a lot from the marketplace because I didn't get enough from Ronza. It hurt. Alright, got all the skins. Didn't get a Chrome Scroll case. That's alright. I already had 3. That is kind of nice though with the Chrome bit cost. If you get caught when Ronza shows up with 3 There isn't this mad dash to try to finish 3 so you can get another 3. You can just keep throwing them on the pile if you want. I think we will kind of lower the cost next time, maybe. All right, I think I'm good. I think I have all the Ronza wares. You own 1, you own 1. Let's search for you own 0 on this page. Doesn't show up. All right, I got at least one of everything Ronza sells. That's got to be good. Going back to, where was I? All right. Going back to Queso Canyon, actually, because it's going to build the Dragon Slayer cannon before heading back to the never-ending Living Garden grind. Let's go back to the plains. Let's just keep on dealing with blands. Just stock up. All right, feeling good. All right, well, thank you for joining me on my strategic Ronza purchase live shopping spree. Have a good weekend. Happy hunting, everybody.
For more than 15, this crazy world is full of ups and downs. One day you're the king, the next you sell your crown. And if you can't find that one joyful thing, then life and love all lose their meaning. And so I think on you both night and day, and wonder how to make you mine to stay, and follow you from the harbor to the woods. Oh.